Mary had a little lamb. Okay, Marysy dotes and dozy dotes. All right, well, so this is the third. Thank you for joining us for the third and final of this series, classes, I guess, on new membership. If you're looking to be a new member, we can certainly make that happen. If you've been a long-standing member, we can certainly make that happen. I'd like to begin our time, however, with prayer. Gracious and loving God, thank you for this time of continued learning through inquiry, question, and observation. Thank you for the wisdom that is in this room and the experience of those who have been part of this congregation for a long time. Thank you for shining your light among us. Guide our thoughts and our words today so we can learn. In Christ's name, amen. So the first class, as I mentioned, was about Christianity, and we covered, in an hour, we covered the gamut. A lot of surface, but didn't go real deep. But at least it was an opportunity to begin to understand some things, basic concepts of Christianity. And then we looked at Presbyterians and learned what is this Presbyterian tradition that we belong to as part of the larger Reformed tradition. Today is all about Southminster. This is where you are the experts. I am the facilitator. I've got some basic structural skeletal stuff here, but I'm going to rely on those who have been here much longer than I have to kind of fill in the blanks. So, can we go around? It actually would help me if I could learn who you are. So, Judy. Judy, what's your name?
I'll think what microphone I have. Okay, I'm Judy Wyden. I've been a member here about 8 years. I'm an elder on the session, and my major role is membership, hopefully connecting us all.
Perfect. I'm going to follow your template. I'm Di Bennett. I've been here also for 8 years. I'm not just following, I really have been here for 8 years. I am an elder on session as well, and my area is mission and social justice.
My name's Wayne Potter, and my wife informed me that we've been here for 11 years. I don't believe that. It doesn't, oh, okay. And I'm not on any particular committee. I've attempted on occasion, but since I live so far, I don't really get to come very often.
Okay, the reason we've been here members for 11 years is because we lived in this neighborhood for 20 years, and every year we drove around and we saw the sign for the art show, and we never went. It's been going on for 47 years. So finally, one day, we did go to the art show, and then after that, we joined the church.
Good reason to join. Hi, I'm Diane Bender. I am also an elder on Mission and Social Justice. I sing in the choir and a bunch of other stuff, and I've been here about 19 years.
My name is Felicia. I came here 2 years ago, but I was in Seattle, so I come back and forth, and then moved down here last year, so I started coming more consistently last year.
I'm Wanda Baboya, and I'm working on membership here. I've been a Presbyterian most of my life in a whole long list of assorted Presbyterian churches. And always a member there, but so now I want to become a member here.
I'm Meredith Sizer. I've been here since January, and I've been a Presbyterian before. Basically, I left, I was the youngest person in my church, and we were down to like 19 people, and I just decided that I needed a more active church.
My name is Cliff Stevens. I've been attending here probably for 17 years now. My wife, Susan Stevens Garcia, has been a member forever and ever. And out of good duty, I attend with her, but I enjoy the church. Okay.
I'm Mark Mullins. I've surprisingly will have been going here for 21 years in October. And I'm currently an elder. I've been an elder before. I'm currently chairing the Worship and Music Committee.
I'm Kirsten Fredrickson. I have been a member for a little over 20 years, attended sporadically several years before that, going back to the very late 1990s. I am currently clerk of session. I serve on the membership committee, and I run the inventory tracking program for the art show.
I'm Sandy Ruff. I married into the church 16 years ago, but grew up Presbyterian in McMinnville, and I'm currently on the Music and Worship Committee and the Membership and Connections.
I'm Wally Carey. I've been here for 49 years, and started in being a Presbyterian when I met this gorgeous creature in high school who was a Presbyterian, and I said, why not?
I'm Shirley Patton, and I moved from Southern Oregon in First Presbyterian of Ashland to live in the area. And I'm here through the kindness of Sandy and Wally, who go out of their way to bring me. And I'm very grateful in that I'm now the recipient of virtually everything that's kind and good, and the people of this church model Christian fellowship. And it's hard to be a receiver all the time, but this is a good place to practice.
Well, I love your light. You're one of my torches. I'm Julie. I think we've been members 11 years too. I think that's right. And I'm currently on the session and a trustee, but Cradle Presbyterian.
What was the question? So I got in there late.
Your name? Judy said the model. Just your name.
Oh. And why am I here? And why do I still belong to the church? I'm Audrey Scheidler, and I have been here since I was 2, I think. Yeah, 2 years old. Yeah. 60-something. Well, and I'm sure my parents were belonging before we all got baptized. But that's, 64 was when we got baptized. So, I do have a lot of history with the church, but I still am, since I'm on building and grounds, I'm finding out that there's a lot I don't know. So I'm trying to learn. I just went off session, but I'm still on the building and grounds committee. And there's lots to do, and I am enjoying doing it, even though it's a lot. So. But yes, I do enjoy this community very much, which is why I'm still here.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Kathy Huddleston's back at Tech. She's been here a long time too and knows almost as much as Audrey does.
Okay, if you would please hold on to it. Let's go ahead and move the slide forward. And as we begin to talk about Southminster, we'll start with just a couple of dates. And this is not by any stretch an exhaustive list, but there's a booklet that I have thoroughly enjoyed reading that was written in 2004 by a former administrator here, which kind of talks about key opportunities, things that have happened in the life of this congregation. Much is missing from this, so sorry about that. But December 24th, 1958, first worship service here. Was it in the sanctuary over there? Was that sanctuary built, or was it in the house, in somebody's house? So it actually was in that sanctuary? Yeah. Okay. The church was actually chartered a few months later, December 10th. Jim Peterson was installed, and then he was here for over 30 years, until 1999. So he was here for quite a long time. March 5th, first fine arts exhibit and sale, which later changed its name. Next slide. New sanctuary, the one that we're currently in now, in 77 was built and dedicated. General Assembly talks about ordaining gay pastors. Way back in the 70s, when it was not cool to talk about LGBTQ, and that wasn't a thought. But this church started early, talking about issues that are kind of normal now, I dare say. Southminster and several other churches joined in conversations that GA started. The art show was renamed to what it is now in 79. Denny Buell, did I pronounce the last name correctly? Was here for a very long time. And Denny is the one who put together that booklet that anyone is welcome to look at. There are copies in the library. Started as administrative assistant. 600 shares of Grandma's cookies were donated to this congregation and was used to fund the Mission and Outreach Fund, which still exists today. In 83, the UPC joined the Presbyterian Church, oh golly, the UPC USA joined the PCA, oh golly, I'm going to get this wrong. Two branches that were divided during the Civil War came together in 1983. This was a united Presbyterian church. And so it once was called Southminster United Presbyterian Church, became Southminster Presbyterian in 83. There's Wally's name right there. And you organized a discussion group to talk about inclusive language, which continues today. Ken Wilson is a well-known name around here. Became our keyboard accompanist. He left it for times to go to get his doctorate, came back, and then left and came back. Various people filled in, but Ken was a fixture around here. Handbell Choir began in 87. Sharon Johnson, Director of Christian Nurture. Southminster becomes a challenging and supportive community. That was its mission in 1990, later to be changed, but it was a challenging and supportive community in 1990. After a mission study was done, careful mission study was done at that time. And Lori Miller becomes the associate pastor in 91. Amendment B, interesting time. Amendment B was part of our Book of Order, and it stipulated that people who are becoming ordained in the Presbyterian Church must maintain chastity and fidelity. If they are gay and lesbian, they have to maintain chastity and fidelity as long as they're going to be a pastor or ordained in the Presbyterian Church. When I was interviewing, right around that time, actually at that time, I would have churches, interview committees ask me, well, what do you think about Amendment B? And depending on how I answered that question, the interview was either over or it would continue. So I lost a couple opportunities that way. That's the way it goes. The church produces the Periwinkle Papers, a long-range planning document, named so because of the color of the paper. Jim Peterson retires in 99. Jim Parolek, is that good? Parolek, thank you, starts as interim. A new mission statement is adopted, and it's the one that we currently have now. And I've got it later on. We'll take a look at it. Southminster and Bilal Mosque. Now, the name of the mosque across the street is not Bilal Mosque, but is that the mosque that we... Different one. Okay.
This one is
Shia.
And Bilal is
Sunni.
I have that backwards.
This is Shia, the ones across the street.
Yeah.
This one's called the Islamic Center of Portland. So Bilal is somewhere else around.
It's on 160th and right off TV Highway.
Okay. But we've had a close connection with the Islamic Center of Portland for many years.
Since they moved in, they moved in probably 10 years ago or something.
Yeah. If you're going to talk, we need a microphone because people online should hear. Peg Fobb begins as pastor in 2002, and the book ends in 2004. There really hasn't been much happening since 2004, so that's basically the end of the church history. Well, what would you add to this timeline? And use the microphone, please. The people online need to hear you.
Bilal Mosque came from a class on studying religions. We had a religions class, and we studied different ones, and they would take field trips. And the Bilal Mosque is near Murray and TV Highway, kind of on the corner. And we did some exchanges back and forth, and they invited us. And the thing that was cool is that we had a relationship with them already when 9/11 happened. And the thing that happened is the Sunday after that happened, there were 5 or 6 people from the Bilal Mosque in our church attending. And I loved it that we had that relationship already there.
Pass it to Joanne. It's on.
Yes, and every time I visit the Bilal Mosque and folks over there, I see Shahriar, and who's the president, longtime president of the mosque. He says, "Oh, you are our oldest friends. Al Contreras brought us together before 9/11. It is so wonderful that we've had this relationship. I would love to get back to more with them." He has been such a wonderful, loving person, and it's just delightful to be with them.
What'd you say, Mark?
I just said, does anybody know if he's still there?
Yes. Oh, yes, I've seen him recently.
Just FYI, Joanne wasn't here when we introduced ourselves. So this is Joanne Wakeland, who originally came here because her teenage daughter made her come here. Just been here ever since. And her teenage daughter is middle-aged now. Anyone else?
What else would you add to the history since or during this timeline?
Susan. And this is Cliff's wife, Susan.
Okay, thanks.
He already did.
Oh, well, I am Susan Stevens Garcia, and this is my husband, Cliff. And I am a deacon, but I've been a deacon before in another position, a moderator. And during that time, and many times before we did trips, the youth went to Seattle. I think many people know that. And we had Don Ludwig in charge of the youth ministry. And of course, his wife, Kathy Ludwig, they retired last year, correct? Is it last year only? And since then, yes, Peg Fobb had learned had gone on a trip to Cuba with as a sister. They had a sister church there. Now, I'm limited on our knowledge of all that. I heard a little bit, but the one I do know is we did a second trip to Cuba, and then we went to Puerto Rico also. And since then, and after that was in Africa, was with the Mazongs. I can't remember.
It was
South Africa, correct. And so there's been a lot of mission trips that were done through that. Now we're creating some more mission type style things. Our youth ministry, you probably know that. So we've done a lot with the youth, and the youth did a lot of work here. And many of you know that and been on. Mike, oh, excuse me. You went on you did a trip with us too, to Cuba.
Yeah, I went on one. Your daughter?
Yes, and my daughter also.
And a word about Denny Buell. Denny Buell was our fearless office manager forever and ever. She knew every single thing. And her administrative assistant for years was Barbara Walker. And the two of them together kept everything running so smoothly. And Denny was one of the instigators for inclusive language, and she was just adamant about that. And so she would call it out if it was not inclusive. So she was a wild, wonderful human being.
Diane.
I just wanted to say that we've had a relationship with Family Promise for I don't know, 15 or more years. And we still have a relationship with Family Promise, which is an entity that helps people who are experiencing homelessness. Family Promise has 2 houses they call shelters, where families stay until they are able to find housing. And in 2 weeks, it will be our week to host again. And we provide either actual meals or gift cards so that they can buy food to make meals. We also collect out in the Peterson Gallery refundable bottles and cans, and I take them each week to be turned in, and then the money goes to Family Promise.
If I remember rightly, the real driver for inclusive language is Pam Gross.
Mm-hmm. Pam Gross.
Yeah.
Pam Gross is in a retirement community now and can't come to church, but she's, we keep in close touch. Oops. Anyone else? Mark?
I'll just give a little historical tidbit related to the Grosses. I believe Ron Gross was probably extremely involved in the project to build this new sanctuary. And so if you look at the door to the cry room, you will see that it is called room 144, whereas all of our other rooms are 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason it is room 144 is because 144 is a gross. And so it was named in honor of Ron Gross, but he didn't want his name put on the door, so they put 144.
And if I understand reading that booklet, Ron Gross was buildings and ground person for a long time. Very instrumental in putting this sanctuary together. You know, other things, I really commend that booklet to you. There's 5 or 6 copies in the library. You'll learn about this being not sanctuary, but a place for somebody from Iraq came here and were housed by people in the church as a safe place. There was a family from South Africa that was feeling persecuted in South Africa, came to this congregation and was here for a time. When Selma was in 65, when the pastors walked across the bridge at Selma, this congregation marched with some people north of here in solidarity with the people who were beaten brutally in Selma. So this congregation has a really long history of social and out there involvement at the forefront.
I'm going to get my steps in.
Yeah, the pastor from South Africa came about 6 months to a year before I came here, so I never met him. But he was apparently deputy to Desmond Tutu in, so you know more, yeah. So he was, that was an important thing when he came. And I guess Jim went on leave for 6 months, and so they offered, what's his name? Colin Jones, the pastorate here as an interim while Jim was on leave. It was wonderful.
You can learn all about the unicycle classes that once took place here. It's a fascinating booklet. Learn how to ride the unicycle here at Southminster.
I'm thinking that we really need an update to this book that we're missing 25 years or 20 in.
I know.
When you've been here for a long time, you just have all these tidbits that are so interesting. Pam Gross's tidbit is that she began a women's group called Common Bond, which was every Tuesday night, and the women that are of a certain age now, 60s, 70s, 80s, they know each other so well because every Tuesday night we talked. And we did a book study, but they never got to the book because there was so much sharing that went on. But she just was empowering during all of the times for women's rights, and that was one thing that was just, she's an incredible leader and is responsible for my being at this church because I had met her in her center she used to run, and she was then running her center out of here, and I thought, I think I'd like that church, and in fact, I did.
Maybe take one more, and then I want to move forward.
Okay. I just want to quickly say our youth group, our children's ministry was led by Dee Wilson also. And to mention that Ken Wilson was our pianist, and she was here teaching. I taught with her, and the Walkers taught with, and many of us have taught children's programs during the time that we've been here. And just to mention that all of our trips, our mission trips, we had some focus of some projects, painting, many times of doing things with the community. So we have a lot of service people here, so it's been great.
Many more stories to tell. This congregation is so rich in its history and its involvement. So maybe there will come a time when, as I'm transition pastoring, we can just kind of tell these stories at some point, gather people and just talk about this kind of stuff. It's so enriching and so deep. Can you move to the next slide, please? Well, Southminster is a progressive church. Southminster is an Earth Care congregation, and as I mentioned before in the message this morning, Southminster is a Matthew 25 congregation. What does it mean, somebody? What is a progressive church?
I can read the description from out there. You want me to?
It'll take a little while. I invite you at some point to look on the bulletin board back there, and it actually lists several definitions or characters of a progressive congregation. Would people here say that we subscribe and adhere to those definitions?
I think so. There's 8 steps to being in a progressive church.
Okay.
Nope. I said there's 8 steps, I think it is. I can't remember what they are, but I think Southminster's been a progressive church since the day I walked in the door, and Jim was always that way, always in trouble with Presbytery. I know that.
Good trouble.
Good trouble, yeah. Yeah, good trouble. And Peg got into trouble with him once, and a lot of it revolving around the gay situation. But I think we are, from my definition.
I commend to you to look at that poster out there. If this congregation says that's what describes us as a progressive congregation, go ahead and look at that and kind of find out more about this congregation. Mark?
I think one thing about a progressive church that really embodies Southminster is you don't have to check your brain at the door. I think a lot of people say that when they, I think that's said often around Southminster. But the other thing is, you don't have to believe a certain thing. And so I know there are people that have a lot more, in this church that I've talked to, have a lot more traditional beliefs about God and all of that than I do. And yet, we don't have these litmus tests. We have a former pastor who called himself an atheist minister, and yet that wasn't, many people in the congregation wouldn't have said that about themselves. And so it's okay. And Wally mentioned Peg getting in trouble with the Presbytery. She didn't really. I think the Presbytery was progressive enough by the time Peg was with us that she didn't get in trouble with the Presbytery, but we did have a complaint filed against us by a more conservative church in the Presbytery in Rogue River, Oregon, that I think is no longer part of the PCUSA, but they filed a complaint against us because we hosted Jesus Seminar on the Road events all the way up until COVID, they quit doing these on-the-road events, and they do them all online now, I think. But we would, every year, every summer, we would host a couple of biblical scholars who would come and present to us, and all the Jesus Seminar groupies would travel around from event to event to listen to these scholars. And it was an amazing experience for me. I got to, a lot of times pick up the scholars at the airport and chat with them on the way to the hotel or something like that. But it was very eye-opening, and yet we had a complaint filed against us because we hosted those events. So,
as a side note to that, when she told us that she was going to meet with the committee from Presbyterian, and I said, and who else? And she said, well, just me and the committee. And I said, no. So when they had it here, there was 50 of the congregation, and we point blank told them that we weren't going to sit here and have the church from the South come up and dictate to us and crucify our pastor for talking openly about love and growth and the whole bit. The guy that handled that meeting was really good. I can't even remember his name, but he knew he walked into a boar's nest when all 50 of us were sitting there waiting for him to start. Like we said, we're not going to have her in here taking an inquisition by herself.
I talked a little bit I didn't talk about Earth Care congregation, but there's actually, I think it was just renewed, our Earth Care in February, right? So we are an Earth Care congregation. How can people find out more about that?
We have been an Earth Care congregation since that was a designation that started in the Presbyterian Church, and it just means that we are constantly looking for ways to be eco-friendly in the world, not only in our church and the way that we do things here, but in our own individual lives, and hopefully spreading it throughout the world.
I mentioned this morning about us being a Matthew 25 congregation. That was in 2020 that we entered into that. What else? What else? Is there some other Earth Care at Matthew 25 Progressive Church that would kind of talks about, that you can think of something that describes Southminster? More light.
Right.
Somewhat of an archaic term at this point, but yes, a more light. What does more light mean?
It is also a designation that is given to certain congregations, and it's all about acceptance of people, no matter what their gender, no matter what their sexual preference is. And it's one of the reasons that when I came here from Texas that I came to this church, because of that designation.
Want to add anything?
Over Julie.
I like to tell people that when the Sunday that Randy and I came to Southminster, we live in Dundee, so it's a 45-minute trip. It took us a while to find a place where we thought, what are we going to do? Wally greeted me, and he had a Cocapelli. You were wearing your Cocapelli, the New Mexican, okay, you were wearing that. And he told me that this was the congregation that took an overture to General Assembly with regard to, and maybe then it was more light, I don't know what it was, and he told me that. And I got in the car and I said to Randy, I think these are our people.
Okay. Hard to encapsulate a congregation in just a few snippets like this, but these kind of describe a bit about what Southminster is, has signed on to certain agreements and documents. In addition to that, if you're going to serve on session, you need to read an anti-racism statement. And there's an intentional desire to be inclusive here in terms of language and in terms of attitude, theology, et cetera, and so forth. A peacemaking congregation as well, a commitment to peacemaking. Anything else you think that Southminster is committed to?
I think the inclusivity goes so deep that I remember just having, a line across saying, wherever you fall on the line in your faith, you're welcome here. And every time that's said during the service, especially about communion, anyone who is here is invited to participate in communion. And I think that that's where there is freedom for people to be on another end of the spectrum if they need to be, and still find this to be the people, because we won't judge people. We try not to do that. And so we want everybody to be free to be themselves.
And I don't have my phone to record.
We've been counting.
Good. I'll add it.
Also, we are intentionally supportive of our community, specifically of our low-income neighbors and our immigrant neighbors. We specifically support 2 of the neighborhood schools, 1 elementary school and 1 middle school, by providing groceries, and now with the concern that families have about the safety of going out even to get groceries. We take groceries to the schools, and we recently delivered a large number of gift cards that are to be used for groceries or whatever families need. And we consciously do that several times a year and have fundraisers, and it's a part of our church, our regular annual church budget, to have funds in order to do things like that. We work with an organization called Interfaith Movement for Immigrant and Racial Justice. It's called Emerge for short. The R used to be small and just kind of thrown in there, but now we say, and also racial justice. That's a statewide organization that supports our immigrant neighbors, provides accompaniment, and just all sorts of activities to help with the immigrant and especially Spanish-speaking neighbors.
And after we became a More Light church, we got a banner together and went downtown and joined in the Gay Pride Parade, and had several people contact the church and say, I didn't think there was any church out there that I could go to. And it meant so much to see your banner and know that there was. And they would come and join us. So anyway.
Now there are many churches that march downtown. And I assume Southminster on Gay Pride Day still does this? Do they
It was
still
in
send people?
Beaverton this year.
Oh, the Beaverton, okay. Okay.
There used to be an organization called Community of Welcoming Congregations that paid for them, and then a bunch of churches would march.
You think you have a big voice, but you don't.
There used to be an organization called Community of Welcoming Congregations, and they would pay whatever fee you had to have a slot in the parade, and then a bunch of churches and synagogues would march together. And that all of the times that I marched with a church downtown, it was always with that. But I think the person that ran that organization retired, and it wound down, and so we haven't done the downtown parade since then. But now we have one in Beaverton.
Awesome. You also heard me say this morning, earlier, that in the late 70s, Grandma's Cookies gave 600 shares to this congregation to seed a mission fund, basically the foundation that we recognized a couple weeks ago. One of those organizations we work with is Love Inc. It's one of many, and this church has distributed, dare I say, if I remember Rick saying, over $1 million
Yes.
since this fund was created, to various organizations that do the work that Matthew 25 is talking about.
Started with
It started.
and given away $1 million, and we started with a quarter of $1 million, and given away $1 million, and we've got $1 million in the bank. So,
Currently, yeah.
And to go with that, Diane Bender and Joe are, Diane, you probably already mentioned this, but she's in charge of you create an atmosphere where you work on getting all those wonderful gifts. Yeah, the foundation is, I'm very proud to be part of that, and I know that she does a lot of work, and they create a whole many, they interview, they do so much work to get those. But on a side note, I want to say also, very minor but very important part of inclusivity is a coffee hour. It's grown. We initially, I want to mention that we were very small, and the fact that we just made sure we had coffee and cookies. But we've made an intentional, and with Rayan's help, an intentional getting our budget put into the general fund. So we now can purchase coffee for the whole church, and it's not purchased just by the deacons, but it's purchased by our church. And it's been time. It took a lot of time to do that. And now we're set up so we can have more coffee offered, more time coffee, more, we are pushing all the cookies. Yeah, that's great. But we actually do have now our choir being able to come and get coffee before church and after church. And that was a kind of a big step for us, because we were small, like small potatoes, just a little bit here. But we've put ourselves into our general fund. So it's been really helpful to get a lot of people back there that stay a long time.
Awesome.
Now if we'll only extend that invitation to the outside neighborhood. Boy, is that ever a radical idea.
Can we move to the next slide, please? So this is the mission statement that was adopted in 2000. And it remains our mission statement today. It has not been updated, or maybe it has been slightly, but it was adopted in 2000. So it's been in place for 26 years. Maybe it's time to tweak it a little bit, or maybe completely revamp it. But I thought we would read it, because this is what Southminster Presbyterian, the session of Southminster Presbyterians adopted in 2000 to indicate what we believe and what we resolve to do. So, we believe God loves us unconditionally. Jesus' teaching is the clearest revelation of God in our experience. We are called to help others in need. The best way to transmit our faith is to live it. Faith grows through a lively, challenging, and free exchange of ideas. The Bible is valuable as a guide to our faith journey and should be understood in its historical context. Representative government, laity participation in church leadership, and emphasis on education are important Presbyterian traditions we should adhere to. In the spirit of Jesus, we are committed to deepening our spiritual awareness through learning, worship, and prayer, celebrating creativity through the visual and performing arts, honoring diversity, supporting adults, youth, and children through adulation and fellowship, providing pastoral and spiritual counseling, promoting peace, health, and justice in our relationships, church, community, and in the world. Thoughts, comments?
It still works.
She said it's...
Yeah. What I was saying earlier is who we are, and you don't have to believe a certain way. You can come in here and you can hear something that you can believe really happened, or you can believe was a story. It's okay. Wherever you are, you can be comfortable here and not worry about having to believe a certain way. I think that's huge.
Anything you're curious about? Anything that surprises you?
Felicia? No, you're good.
So I have a question, because I came from more conservative country and I came from more conservative church, but I also have like LGBTQ plus friends, and they're always asking me, okay, so what am I doing? Is it right according to the church or not? And then I try to like avoid.
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
And then like, if they ask like, okay, what is the proof? Because like all these churches always telling them that like it's wrong, right? Being gay or stuff like that. So I'm like, I always try to like, oh, just, I don't know, don't ask me.
Jesus.
Yeah.
The proof is Jesus. Jesus accepted everybody, and we do too.
So that's the only answer, basically. Okay. That makes sense.
What I like to do sometimes is ask people, you know, Jesus is our guide, our example. This is our model. This is our rabbi. This is the person we follow. We walk in the dust of our rabbi. So you tell me, what did Jesus say about accepting people?
Right.
What did Jesus say about gays and lesbians?
Nothing. It wasn't important.
Right.
Because accepting everyone was
In my reading, Jesus Christ is the only person that I think is kind of supported by history and archaeology, etc. But the Jesus Christ that I read about supported the downtrodden, the basic community that was almost always under pressure by government, just like it is now. Nothing's changed. And it's a good example. But like we talked about the other day, that there's 4,000 religions in the world. They all have a deity. Quite a few of them call that deity God. Some of them, they've got 12, 13, 14 gods. But that's not the point. The point is supporting people, loving people, doing what you can to help people, doing what you can to take care of your own community and family. And Southminster is a basic community, as far as I'm concerned, that does that. I don't think, I'd be hard-pressed to think of anybody in this church that where everybody's where there's more than 5 of them believe the same thing. They all believe their own religion. And to my way of thinking, that's why I'm still here. I've spent all the time since I've been here trying to learn, trying to understand what I believe. But I've decided the best thing I can do is just love every bloody one of them with all their changes, all their quirks, all their differences. I love everybody in the church. I don't like them all. There are choices they make, decisions they've made, and I know they don't all like me, but that's all right because this is my home. This is my core. This is where I am going to be to learn as much as I can, and I'm quite sure that I'm going to die not knowing anything more than I do now. I may keep adding pieces, but it's a living, growing process, and the trick, as far as I'm concerned, is the living part of it.
Just make your life easier. Well, you had to come anyway, Judy, sorry. I love that, so true, too. But I would also say, to kind of add to your questions, like, there is really good and deep scholarship on why progressive Christians accept, and not just accept, because accept feels like minimal, right? Believe in the full dignity and worth of all people. And so I've done some digging around on the PCUSA site. there's a good amount of stuff there. And also this last year I went to, with a couple folks from here, the Queer Christian Fellowship. There's a yearly meeting of queer Christians. And so there are a lot of seminaries doing good work. There's a lot of theologians, queer theologians that are, so it's not as though, I'm saying that, not that it's not enough, like it's not just that we follow Jesus, of course that's true, but there also is, I think, there's really deep-rooted reasons and theology behind why we do that. I mean, and again, like you said too, it's going to be different for each person, right? Like I don't necessarily have the same theology as anyone else, but there's as much as loud as the like oppressive side is, and they often say that they have the only true way or the only biblical or scriptural way. I would just say, I mean, we don't necessarily, I'm not saying Southminster needs to be as loud in the same way, but I felt like, sometimes I felt like we have to be defensive, and I just don't think we need to be defensive. I think our way of loving is really based and grounded in intentional, true, like reading of Scripture. So there's not like, so there is more depth to that too. And I am not a theologian, but there are a lot of resources out there that are available too. If you're interested in reading, like what do people who believe in full acceptance say about those verses against homosexuality, et cetera? Oh, sure. Yeah.
May I introduce you?
Yeah.
Oh, Katie came in. Katie came in. Well, we've got several people here that are inquiring.
Oh.
So Katie is currently an interim youth director. Katie Standish is her name, and she also has a family with some children.
None of them
But I also, after you answer that question, speak a little bit, because we really do have a strong group of youth and young families here, but they are not represented in our group except for Katie right now.
Well, Mark, your kids are there too.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah. Well, the OWL program, yeah, that is something that we've been doing, and we are committed to, at least your Family Life Committee is committed to. We did it last year, and this year it's called Our Whole Lives, and it's a joint project of UCC and Unitarian Universalists. It's a 25-year-old program, I think. They started it a while ago, and it's comprehensive sexuality education. So it's split up into age groups to have like appropriately aged kids together. Last year we did the 7th through 9th grade, and that's the most intense one. It's like 25 sessions. I would say, and right now we're doing the 4th through 6th grade. So we have 5 kiddos from the church that come, and they're very reliable. I've really been really impressed. And so it teaches, age appropriately, of course, but things like gender identity, sexual orientation. For the 7th through 9th graders, there's a lot about, well, actually all of them. There's a lot about consent and peer pressure and clear communication in relationships. It's not an abstinence program. It's a sexuality education program. So we also, especially for the older kids, do contraception, we do STI prevention, we I know this will be recorded, but we brought in condoms, and every single kid had to practice with a condom, not the 4th through 6th graders, but the 7th through 9th graders, older kids, and so that I think is a really big part of our inclusivity, because it's one of the core values of OWL that we talk about, which is justice. I can't pull all of them out to my mind right now, but justice, self-worth, respect, diversity, there's another one. But yeah, that as part of it, we do support all gender identities and sexual orientations, and we teach the kids that that's not only like that's important, but like that's who your community is. So you could stop me if I'm going on too long. The most impactful thing that we did last year was a guest panel with folks from our church that had sexual orientations. Like we had a variety of sexual orientations and gender identities, and it was just, all of the adults were crying. We're very moved. I think the kids were moved, but they'll be more moved later, especially when they realize, what that was for them. But just an opportunity to meet people that are diverse, which is really cool. I don't know, what else do you? want to know.
So if
Thank
I
you.
hear you, since you were relating it to Southminster is committed to, Southminster is committed to teaching children, helping children learn about their sexuality, their sexual identity in a biblical, theological, faith context. Churches certainly do this, but churches should be doing it.
Anyone's interested in training? Oh, yeah, if anyone ever wants to be a facilitator, we're looking for more facilitators. So,
The youth community can always use volunteers from those of us who are beyond youth.
Well, it's about 5 after 12, and I want to honor your time, and thank you for coming here. I forgot to announce something this morning, which I was reminded this morning, and then I forgot it this morning. A lot going on. But as you know, Rayan is taking a time of leave. And so if you have the ability to volunteer to do some of the tasks that she did, that would be awesome and welcome. If you want to talk to me, or you can talk to the chair of personnel, who will be chair for another day. Michelle, she is no longer, Michelle Neese is no longer going to be the chair of personnel. Maybe the person to talk to would be, golly, who's now the new chair of personnel? Mark. Not Mark, he's worship, sorry.
Carol and Judy Wyden, I think, are going to work on the office.
Okay, very good. So, Mike Connor, thank you. Thank you, thank you. That's exactly it. So you can connect with Judy or myself or Mike Connor if you'd like to talk.
Carol
talk to
Howe is the other one.
Carol Howe, if you'd like to talk to somebody about how to volunteer and help out at the church.
But none of them know right at this moment how you can volunteer. We're going to have to get our act together.
Yes.
Quickly, like tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right, well, spread that to your friends and connections and acquaintances. We do need, actually, we don't know exactly what we need, but we do need help eventually and soon. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for helping me out. This is the third and final class in this series. If you are interested in membership, I'm your person to talk to. We can certainly make that happen. And their session actually adopted a series of questions tailor-made to this congregation, and I'll share those with you if you'd like. And we will make that happen in worship at a time that is convenient for you. Sound good? All right, blessings and peace, everyone. Go in peace.
Thank you.